Now, over the past week, lengthy lorry queues have built up on the main road heading into Dover. Freight heading to the port of Dover is being managed by National Highways as traffic in the area builds and queues form on the A20. Dover Advisory National Highways says there are currently no queues for lorries to get into Dover. Well, let's get more on this with our global trade correspondent, Chris Morris. What's been happening, Chris?
I think the overarching reason for these queues is that Kent, Dover, Calais, that's now a major trade border in a way that it simply wasn't a couple of years ago, and borders mean delays. So if you look at the reasons, you've got to put Brexit at the top of the list. There have been new rules from the beginning of this year on imports into the UK. Now, you might think that would create problems on the other side of the channel of trucks trying to come into the UK from Calais. So why are there queues on this side of the channel, long queues on the A20? One of the reasons is that there's also a requirement now for lorry drivers leaving the UK to submit information to the French authorities about what's in their cargo, and they have to get a permit to get on board a ferry. The number of lorry drivers who don't have the right permit was relatively high to begin with. We're told it's improving, but just one, in a system which is so tightly controlled, just one or two mistakes can cause delays. So it's the fact that, Brexit has caused additional trade barriers where there were previously none between the UK and the EU. There are some other reasons. COVID has caused staff absences. It was worse, it has been worse over the last couple of years, but obviously Omicron meant that there was a surge in staff absences, ferry companies, freight forwarders and so forth, again causing some delays. Also noteworthy that drivers leaving the UK for the EU need to show evidence of a negative lateral flow test. Now, that can be done in a couple of seconds, but if you don't have it, maybe you've got to take 2 minutes to turn your lorry around and go back. Again, sort of butterfly effect causing more delays. And then some seasonal issues. There are fewer ferries running at the moment, 1 or 2 ferries out of service at the moment. And also, in the first few days of the year, it is normal that trade volumes are very, very low, and they pick up from about mid-January onwards. So that's what's happened in the last few days, causing these long queues. But it is a concern that as things get back to more normal levels, those new checks associated with Brexit are really gumming up the system.
And what is the situation with trade volumes, and what does the fact that these issues are happening now before, as you say, things pick up?
That's really worrying, actually, because you can look at the people who are still struggling to trade. They must have looked at the situation and said, well, it's going to be more difficult to trade with Europe now, but we can still make a profit. Because if you can't make a profit, you're not going to trade, are you? So what's slightly worrying is looking at the number of people who, it appears, have decided we can't make a profit anymore. Trading with the UK is simply not worth it anymore. We're not going to do it. And if you look at some of the statistics which are emerging, it's really quite striking. So these are figures for German exports to around the world. And what we're doing here is comparing the first 11 months of last year with 2020, because in 2020, that was really the height of COVID delays. And these are official figures from the German Statistics Authority, and this was compiled by Professor Dennis Novy at the University of Warwick. Those German exports recovered last year compared to 2020, up 17% to the rest of the EU, up 18% to the US, but down 2% to the UK, so a big difference. And you see the same when you look at German imports, so the stuff that the Germans are buying from the UK. Over that same 11-month period, comparing 2020 to 2021, German imports rose sharply, up 16% from the rest of the EU as the economy recovered, up 6% from the United States, but down 8% from the United Kingdom. So a lot of people who used to trade between Britain and Germany in this case, it's the same story with other countries, have decided that because of so many new restrictions and new bureaucratic obstacles, it's not worth their while anymore.